Mrs. Phillips, you can take it away.
All right. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the May 7th work session of the Franklin City Public School Board. And welcome, everyone. Before I forget, as we get started, last week was National School Principal Day, and this week has been Teacher Appreciation Week. And yesterday was National Nurses Day, which kicked off National Nurses Week. So I wanted to say thank you to all of those that fall into all three of those categories. Thank you to all of you, all of the teachers. Many of us are now learning how much we really do miss you and how much we really do appreciate you. So thank you to all of you for all that you do, for all that you are continuing to do to support your students and to support their families as well. So yeah, I think all three of our principals are on. Thank you to each and every one of you. All three of you, you are very, very important to us. Thank you to all the teachers, and thank you to our school nurses as well. And thank you to all of the healthcare workers, all the nurses out there in the field and on the front lines of this pandemic. So just wanted to say a quick thank you to all of you. Do we have a motion to come out of closed session?
I, Marshall Williams, Ward 4, move that the school board, having been in a closed session pursuant to a proper motion, come out of closed session.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Shelton, second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor signify going by ward by saying aye. Nays have the same opportunity. We'll start with Ms. Jester.
Aye, Rebecca Jester, Ward 1.
Aye, Vice Chairman Hall Leonard, Ward 3.
I, Marshall Williams, Ward 4.
I, Andrea Shelton, Ward 5.
I, Carrie Johnson, at large.
And I, Amy Phillips, Ward 2. And Ms. Banks is not with us tonight, so that motion carries. Do we have a certification of our closed session?
Vice Chairman Hall Leonard, Ward 3, whereas the Franklin City School Board has convened a closed meeting on this date pursuant to an affirmative recorded vote and in accordance with the provisions of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act, and whereas Section 2.2-3712D of the Code of Virginia requires a certification by the school board that such closed meeting was conducted in conformity with Virginia law. Now therefore be it resolved that the Franklin City School Board hereby certifies that to the best of each member's knowledge, 1, only public business matters lawfully exempted by Virginia law were discussed in the closed meeting to which this certification applies, and 2, only such public business matters as were identified in the motion convening the closed meeting were heard, discussed, or considered.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Again, going by ward, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Nays have the same opportunity.
Aye, Rebecca Jester, Ward 1.
Aye, Vice Chairman Hall Leonard, Ward 3.
I, Marshall Williams, Ward 4.
I, Andrea Shelton, Ward 5.
I, Carrie Johnson, at large.
And I, Amy Phillips, Ward 2. So that motion carries. Next up, moving down to 2.5, motions from closed session. I think we had 2 items in closed. Do we have a motion in regards to either of those items?
Madam Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the personnel agenda as presented with the addition of line item number 8.
We have a motion in regards to the personnel agenda with an amendment. Do we have a second?
Johnson,
Second.
We have several seconds. It's like dinner time at my house. Any discussion on that?
Yes, I'd like to recommend that we have a motion to approve the personnel agenda with the exclusion of number 3, voting on number 3 separately.
Okay. So we already have a motion and a second in regards to it.
Wasn't quite sure how you wanted to handle that. Whether or not it should be two separate motions or.
Well, we can vote on amending to remove number 3 to pull that one separately. And then we would go back to the original motion if that does not pass. But we would have to have a second on your motion as well. So that being said, if you are presenting an amendment to the motion to remove item number 3 from the personnel agenda, then you can present that motion and then we can see if there is a second on that motion.
So do you want to move forward with, how do you want to do that with, because Ms. Johnson made the first motion. So I have to ask Ms. Johnson.
I did not. I seconded it.
Ms. Jester.
Oh, you
made that
seconded?
motion.
Oh, it was Ms. Johnson.
Mhm.
I have to
Wait,
amend my motion?
You do not have to amend your motion if you so choose. It's up to Dr. Hall Leonard if she wants to ask for an amendment to the motion. And then
I'd
we
rather
would
my
have to
amendment
look for a
stand.
second on that.
I mean, my motion stand.
Okay. Dr. Hall Leonard, did you want to raise an amendment to that motion?
No.
Okay. So then the original motion and the original second stand. Any further discussion on that? Then all those in favor signify going by ward by saying aye. Nays have the same opportunity.
I, Rebecca Jester, Ward 1.
Vice Chairman Hall Leonard, I abstain. Ward 3.
I, Marshall Williams, Ward 4.
I, Andrea Shelton, Ward 5.
I, Carrie Johnson, at large.
I, Amy Phillips, Ward 6. That's 5 yeas, no nays, 1 abstention. The motion carries. And we had one more item from closed session. Do we have a motion in regards to that? Any motions in regard to the recommendations for reappointment?
This is Vice Chairman Hall Leonard, Ward 3. I move to approve the recommendations for reappointment for the 2021 school year.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Shelton,
Second.
second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. By ward, nays have the same opportunity.
I, Rebecca Jester, Ward 1.
Ward 3, Vice Chairman Hall Leonard, aye.
I, Marshall Williams, Ward 4.
I, Andrea Shelton, Ward 5.
I, Carrie Johnson, at large.
And I, Amy Phillips, Ward 2. That motion carries as well. All right. Moving next to 2.6, which is the approval of the agenda. Do we have a motion to approve our agenda?
I move that we approve the agenda as stated.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Williams, second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? By ward, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Nays have the same opportunity.
I, Rebecca Jester, Ward 1.
Ward 3, Vice Chairman Hall Leonard, aye.
I, Marshall Williams, Ward 4.
I, Andrea Shelton, Ward 5.
I, Carrie Johnson, at large.
And I, Amy Phillips, Ward 2. That motion passes. Next up is our consent agenda. We had several items that were included in the consent agenda this week. We had the Food Lion donation, part 2, which we are very grateful for, and we say thank you to Food Lion for continuing to support the division and the families within the division. We had purchase order 20-686 to Dell for the replacement laptops for teachers. We had purchase order 20-694 to Dell for replacement student laptops. We had purchase order 20-706 to Baxter Brothers. That was painting services at the school at JPK and FHS. We had purchase order 20-708 to RK Chevrolet. This was replacing the maintenance van. We have purchase order 20-711, which was for the upgrade to Board Docs Pro that we discussed previously. And then we have 2 purchase orders, purchase order 20-712 and purchase order 20-713, which are both to stage right lighting. This is in regards to the lighting in the auditorium at the high school. One is for the stage lights, and then one is for the overhead lights in the auditorium. I'm sure all of you remember from being in the auditorium for convocation and for other events, the overhead lighting, it's really, really, really dim in there. You know, I know we want the dim theater experience, but when it's not the theater going on, we kind of need some lights in there. And then the last one is purchase order 20-724 to Dell for the remainder of the replacement teacher laptops. Are there any questions in regards to any of these items included in the consent agenda? Hearing no questions, do we have a motion in regards to the consent agenda?
Marshall Williams, Ward 4, move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Going by ward, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Nays have the same opportunity.
Aye, Rebecca Jester, Ward 1.
Aye, Vice Chairman Paul Leonard, Ward 3.
Aye, Marshall Williams, Ward 4.
Aye, Andrea Shelton, Ward 5.
At large.
And I, Amy Phillips, Ward 2. That motion carries as well. Moving right along, next up is curriculum and instruction. And starting out with 4.1 is the 21st Century Community Learning Center Grant Renewal submission. Dr. Sterling, if you would like to take that.
Absolutely. Ms. Moore, do you have Ms. Burkhalter on by any chance? Okay.
Yes, Ms. Burkhalter is on. I'm sorry. It's a slight delay, Dr. Sterling.
Okay.
Good
Well,
evening. Good
Yes, she
evening,
is.
School Board Chair, Vice Chair, School Board members, Dr. Sterling, FCPS staff, and community at large. I hope everyone's doing well. Tonight, I come before you, first of all, to present the 21st Century Grant Renewal. As you know, this was the last year of the 21st Century Grant that we had originally received. And so we are reapplying, and we wanted to seek your approval for us to submit the application to the state. And we wanted you to be aware of what we were proposing in the grant. It's pretty much similar to what we previously had, that we've increased the amount that we're seeking. We still want Joseph P. Junior Middle School to be STEM focused, with the after school enrichment and SP Morton to be reading and math focused with STEM activities as well. The board, I ask, may we submit the application with your approval?
Does anyone have any questions for Ms. Burkhalter or Dr. Sterling in regards to the proposal for the 21st Century Grant Renewal application?
No question, just thank you for the work that you're doing. And I'd like to go ahead and make the motion, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
I move to approve or give permission for the school division to move forward with the renewal submission of the 21st Century Community Learning Center grant.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Williams, second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? By ward, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Nays have the same opportunity.
I, Rebecca Jester, Ward 1.
I, Vice Chairman Hall Leonard, Ward 3.
I, Marshall Williams, Ward 4.
I, Andrea Shelton, Ward 5.
I, Carrie Johnson, at large.
And I, Amy Phillips, Ward 2. That motion passes.
Thank you.
It's so good to see you too, Ms. Burkhalter. Just wanted to say that.
I know Mrs. Lawrence will be excited. She was the coordinator for both schools this year.
Yes,
And,
amazing.
we have our leads at each school, and of course the teachers will be excited. The next approval I'm seeking for you, as you know, we had the Carl Perkins grant this past school year. It has been approved by the VDOE. Before we can accept it, we need board approval as part of the process on record for approval to accept the grant as approved by the VDOE.
Are there any questions for Ms. Burkhalter in regards to the Perkins grant? Hearing no questions, do we have a motion in regards to the Perkins grant?
I, Marshall Williams, Ward 4, move to approve the Perkins Grant 2020 to 2021.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Shelton, second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by ward by saying aye. Nays have the same opportunity.
I, Rebecca Jester, Ward 1.
I, Ward 3, Vice Chairman Hall Leonard.
I, Marshall Williams, Ward 4.
I, Andrea Shelton, Ward 5.
I, Carrie Johnson, at large.
And I, Amy Phillips, Ward 2. That motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And good to see you again, Ms. Burkhalter. I'm glad you could join us. I miss actually seeing you in person.
It's a
How are
pleasure
you?
always.
Hopefully it won't be too much longer. We can all be together again.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so moving right along to item 5, finance, and we will start with vouchers. And Mr. Ryder, thank you for joining us this evening. It is wonderful to see you as well.
Thank you very much. Tonight, we are presenting 2 months of vouchers. Ordinarily, we just do 1 month in arrears, but we just did not get the March vouchers in at the March board meeting. So we are presenting them tonight, and nothing out of the ordinary, just your normal run-of-the-mill expenses. What you might have noticed is that the utility bills on the April vouchers dropped slightly, and you'll see that again in May because we're not consuming the electricity at the schools.
Well, I guess that there is a benefit to us not being in the buildings.
Yeah.
Looking first at the March vouchers, does anyone have any question in regards to the March vouchers? All right, and we'll look at April real quick. And does anyone have any questions in regards to the April vouchers?
I don't have a question necessarily, but an observation, which I think we talked about last year, the student accident insurance premiums that we pay. And I know with COVID-19, a lot of workers' compensation premiums are being refunded because employees are not working.
Yep.
I don't know, Mr. Ryder, if that has been discussed or an opportunity perhaps for a bit of a refund on the premiums if our students are not playing sports and otherwise in our buildings.
Yes, I was on a webinar just this week with Vacor, our insurance carrier, and where they went through and stated to all of us that, I mean, the auto claims have dropped, the workers' comp claims have dropped, student accident insurance claims have just basically stopped completely. And so, you know, incredibly, you know, like another good thing that you hate to say that good thing is coming out of a pandemic, but they have said that because this is a co-op, so we will probably be getting credits next year on some of the insurance premiums we've been paying. Because there's just no claims, especially the auto claims. They just nobody's driving, you know, to and from work, so nobody's getting in accidents. So this Bollinger specialty group there, yes, this will probably be the last year we go with them, because the Vacor quote came in at about half that. So the only reason we had to pay this one is because they have two claims that are ongoing. And so if we were to have shut them off, then, you know, they wouldn't be paying those claims. So I got the price quote from Vacor for the renewal for next year. And they do have the student accident, but again, now, you know, anything over 4 weeks old is obsolete now. So now I'm going to have them re-quote again. You know.
I guess too, if there's opportunity to get refunds of premium, you know, already on this coverage period, there may be opportunities there as well.
Right.
Any other questions in regards to the April vouchers? All right. Moving along next to the division financial statement, Mr. Ryder.
All right. Thank you. The April financial statements, of course, every month's financial statements incorporates its year to date. So I did not publish the March statements. We didn't get them done in time. So I just rolled on to the next month. And so this has all of the March results anyway. The discussion tonight is kind of around a little bit of the revenue, you know, concerns that we have, but more so in the expense challenge we have. So we do not anticipate a shortfall in the city appropriation for this fiscal year because it's already basically done. We do, however, anticipate a shortfall in sales tax revenue for this fiscal year. So for March or for May and June, we anticipate about a $274,000 revenue shortfall from the state of Virginia. And that was calculated by me on looking at, if you can go to the next slide, Tammy, the year-to-date. Next slide. Okay. Right there, you see that's actually our sales tax for this year, each by month. December obviously is the big retail month of the year. It bounces around, and you can see April just slightly lower than March. I mean, you know, they didn't actually start closing businesses. The impact of that is going to be felt in May and June. And so if you go to the next slide. All right, this is the state, you know, the state calculator. And down there in yellow is the sales tax. So we were budgeted for $1.6 million for this year. And through March, we had received about $1 million of it. And so we still had 547,000 to go. Well, I just cut it in half. I figured maybe we'll only get half. And that's where I get the $274,000 shortfall estimate. That's my estimate. But be that as it may, if we go to the financials on the next slide, there is your Fund 910, the operating financial statements. The year-to-date under the blue heading, year-to-date April, you can see that in March, that figure down there was $1,037,000. April actually jumped to $1,087,000. That's our surplus that we're sitting at. And my projection of the remaining 2 months of this year will only drop us to a $724,000 surplus, and we can't have that. So we have an opposite problem that a lot of divisions have. It's a very nice problem to have, but we have to spend that money, and we have to spend the 724 down 335,000 below zero. 335,000 below zero is where we're supposed to end up this year because that's the balance of a rollover.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so to go from a +7 to a -3, you got to spend $1 million. And that's why you saw all those purchase orders on the consent agenda, because that's how we're going to get there. I summarized all the purchase orders here for you, all those ones that, so this is where we're at. See, so down there, if you go down, we start at 724 at the top, and you get all these purchase orders, and you get down to, even with all these purchase orders, even with paying $1,000 per employee for what I called COVID assistance pay, I had to come up with something. Even doing that, we still have another 287,000 to go to get to the -335. So we issued all these purchase orders, and that's about where we're going to end up at -47. And in order to get to the -335, we got to spend another $287,000. And so far, we're still trying to get price quotes, but we got, maybe 100,000 for band instruments, and the curtains at the auditorium, they're 2 stories tall, so they're pretty expensive. I just threw 75. I don't really actually know. I just threw something out there. And if the band instruments cost 100 and the curtains cost 75, we still have to spend another $107,000. So, I'm sure that, with all the technology we need and all this stuff for, the distance learning next year, I'm sure we can come up with the expenditures. But we have to do it quick. We only have 4, 5, 7 weeks to do this, to get it done.
Because we're looking at that has to be spent by June 30th.
Yes,
Spent
ma'am.
and delivered by June 30th.
Yes.
Right.
Any questions so far for Mr. Ryder? All right, keep going, Mr. Ryder.
All right, this is the nutrition. Really kind of threw us a curveball this year. This one's a little more difficult to estimate because it was like clockwork before the pandemic, and then we stopped meal service and we started up again, but then we had to switch to summer feeding, and the meal counts aren't as high as, and we needed to be, and we had an excess spending plan in place that we basically have abandoned, because just the normal where we're going to go, we're probably going to see not as much revenue, and the expenses continue on. And so remember, incredibly, we do have to have about $179,000 deficit here. And so right now I'm projecting at about 225. That's nothing to get excited about, because we have a 3-month fund balance in the nutrition bank account. And that's why we had to have a excess spending plan. We started the year with like a 6-month balance. So that thing kept going up. And so the, VDOE said, you got to spend that thing down. You've got to have a deficit in order to get that down to 3 months. Otherwise you're hoarding money and they're going to yell at us and get us in trouble. So this is right on cue. It's nothing to be concerned about. Okay, so it's hard not to talk about next year when we're discussing this year, because this year's, challenging too. But next year it's going to be challenging because the state of Virginia put out the calculator for next year, and to many superintendents and business managers, utter shock, they didn't even change the sales tax estimate. Well, I think that all they wanted to do was they wanted to get this thing out, and I think they're going to reconvene and they're going to discuss it later before the school year starts. So, depending on who you ask, there's a lot of people to ask, but I have this out of order. This shouldn't be here. So, okay, let me quickly say, this is what the city is going to be funding us next year. We asked for $5,082,000 and they're going to give it to us. It just, how they're giving it to us is a little different. They're giving us the remaining balance of our rollover. So we had rollover last year, the 335 and the 252. Well, they're going to give us the 252. And, my special note down there, if any of you were at the city council or tuned in, that, they really, they kind of stated in no uncertain terms that we're not going to be getting rollover in the future. And, that could have been just the emotions of the day. We're in the middle of the pandemic. They're cutting their budget. They're cutting their revenue estimates for next year. But they're pretty clear, you're not going to be getting rollovers in the future. So that's why we have to spend it. So I'm going to go through this real quick. This looks like a lot of numbers and a lot of stuff, but all I wanted to do was kind of explain to you all why I'm only using a 15% drop in sales tax, because the last great economic upheaval we had was just after 2007. So in 2007, the economy began to collapse. It really collapsed in 2008, and in 2009, it was still, way off. But the funding for the Franklin City Public School System, the sales tax only took a dip in 2009, and it increased every year after that. Incredibly. The problem is, look at 2010 and 11, where I have it yellow. Look what happened to the basic aid. The basic aid dropped $861,000 in 2000, $861,000, and another 418 the next year, and it wasn't due to enrollment. You see the calculation is based on enrollment, but he only dropped 19 kids. 19 kids does not equate to $861,000. And the next year you only drop 2 kids. That does not equate to, we don't get $200,000 per kid. So it's the basic aid per pupil rate that the state cut is what really happened. And then it just kind of bounced around there, but it's really the basic aid. What we are going to be looking at in the coming months, I'm not really as concerned about the sales tax as I am the basic aid. What are they going to do with that? Now, I will say that I think the governor did say that for fiscal year 2021, regardless of what happens with the sales tax, they're not going to change the basic aid, which is good news. That's good news. I just hope they don't change their mind between now and August. So that was my analysis of why I'm only cutting the sales tax estimate by about 15%. So this one real quick, the calculator, the middle column is where they were, that was the original budget before the pandemic. After the pandemic, those are the only items that they cut. Prevention, intervention, and remediation, yes, it did go up. But I just noted the change. But the compensation supplement, you can see they completely eliminated that. The at-risk dropped at about another $100,000, and the preschool initiative, they dropped about 20-some thousand. Mm-hmm. Okay. Can you just one more notch? There we go. So next year, you remember, you guys have already approved the budget. This is now my projection. Where do I think, if we were to do another budget, this is kind of where I would be thinking right now. But the projection for June 30th, you can see, really high level. This year, we're going to bring in about 13.2. We're going to spend about 12.5. But then we got to spend another $1 million to get it up to the 13.2, right? So next year, it's kind of like, well, how are we going to be affording all these raises and salary scale, all that stuff? Well, because we're still underspending by about $1 million. And instead of having to scramble and spend it all in May and June, we're going to spread it out over all the things that we want to get accomplished. And we're going to spend it all year long rather than in the last 8 weeks. So next year, I really don't have a lot of a big revenue increase coming in, but even as it sits right now, we're at 129,000. I'm projecting about $129,000 surplus, but that has to be 252 negative in order to get to the rollover value. You see, so we still have to, for this next coming year, we still have to spend $381,000 on something between July 1 and June 30, 2021. And these are all there. Here's what makes up that $1 million, $1,040,000. You got the TAs are going to be increased to 15.5. The driver extra routes, the extra stuff that we want them to do, we pegged it up at $30. We cranked that up to $30 an hour. The custodial staff, bringing them all up to $12 an hour. Some increases for folk. There's the $229,000 impact of going to the Southampton teacher schedule. Got an assistant principal at Morton. There's the insurance increase at 8.4%. A couple of movements of people. I see move Vic to transportation. Well, that's not going to happen. So the increase in the VRS, that's the $92,000 there. But you can see there, priority 5 up above the 229,000. It's almost entirely paid for by the net change in retirements. So, we want to go to that salary schedule like as fast. Well, that's the next thing up to be approved. So, and then just a couple more. And then this budget and projection for next year also includes filling 7 unfilled teaching positions that were unfilled this year. And that's the difference. See, next year we got to fill those. We can't, because if we don't fill them, the city's just going to take the money. Okay, that's enough for that. Oh, by the way, can you go back to that real quick? Earlier in my financial analysis slide of the since 2007 forward, I don't know if you folks noticed, but the ADM was literally red numbers from 2008 forward. 2021 is the first time the ADM has gone up. It's going to scroll up a little bit more, Tammy. You can see that bottom number, -46, -5, -25 kids, 40. Next year, our ADM is actually increased by about 32 kids. All righty.
Congratulations.
This salary schedule is the Southampton salary schedule as it exists today, but I added $50 per step. So the Southampton schedule is 41,000 at step 0. Ours is going to be 41 and 50. And so every one of these is $50 more than Southampton. We just wanted to say we pay more than Southampton.
Any questions in regards to the salary scales? And we've got the teacher salary scales there, as well as the administrator scale. And
I think it's important to note, Mr. Ryder, if you can make mention of the teacher assistants. I know we had a board member or two that were very concerned early on in their appointment about teacher assistant pay. So can you give us that pay for them?
Yes, no no teacher assistant will be paid less than $15,500 per year. That's going to be the new floor. And I have factored that into next year's budget. And we have $381,000 to go. So if you want to pay them 20, that's fine.
Oh, slow down, slow down.
Slow down.
What did you say, Ms. Johnson? Because you know I was referring to you. Oh, okay.
Baby steps, baby steps.
Yeah.
And are
Mhm.
these coaching stipends go back to what they were originally? Have they all been being,
Yes.
So all
That's gonna
stipends have been restored.
Yes, we are actually restoring all of the stipends plus adding positions at the elementary school. And they should be on this new scale. Hold on. And this should be for elementary. To know it was elementary. Oh, a district-wide choir director, a soccer coach at the elementary, Lego League at the elementary. It was a basketball intramural coach at the elementary, a district-wide dance choreographer at the elementary.
I
And a
remember that.
cheerleading. Okay, and a cheerleading coach at the elementary. So right now, yeah.
Ms. Johnson, were you going to say something?
I was gonna say, I can't remember what they were. I just had remembered that a few years back, they had been cut. And I just didn't know if in this, they had been restored to what they were previously. I'm not sure what they were before. But I just know that the intent was to have them restored. So I didn't know if that was done with this.
Yes, thank you, Board Member Johnson. Each year we have provided them with funding to restore it. And I will tell you with the funding that we have this year, because I don't remember as well because we've been continuously restoring them. I will make certain that they are, I'll provide you with that information, the comparison. And if you don't see it on this one, then I'll make sure that I'll send an amendment to you. And to the entire board, because they need to go back to the way they were.
Okay.
Dr. Sterling, this is Andrea Holland at Ward 3. Dr. Sterling?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm looking at the teacher salary scale, and I did hear Mr. Ryder state the $15,500. Should that be included here? I don't see, unless I'm overlooking it, I don't see teachers' assistants on here.
I didn't see it either. That's why I made mention. And
Yeah.
that's $15,550.
Paraprofessional.
There we go.
There it is.
There we go. So
Are
that
they
will
under
have to be-
paraprofessionals?
Yeah.
Yes, there it is. So that would be an amendment, $15,550. Yes.
Yes.
Any other questions in regards to the salary scales? If not, then I will entertain a motion in regards to the salary scales.
I move that we approve the new.
I have a motion by Ms. Johnson to approve the salary scales. Do we have a second?
Second, Williams.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yes. Are we approving the salary scale with the amendment?
Yes, with the amendment, please.
Ms. Johnson, would you like to amend your motion?
I move to approve the salary scales for 2021 with the amendment.
We have a motion. How about a second?
Second, Williams.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Then moving by ward, all those in favor signify by saying aye, and nays have the same opportunity.
I, Rebecca Jester, Ward 1.
Aye. Andrea Hall Leonard, Ward 3.
I, Marshall Williams, Ward 4.
I, Andrea Shelton, Ward 5.
I, Carrie Johnson, at large.
And I, Amy Phillips, Ward 2. That motion carries and the new salary scales are adopted.
Thank you.
Thank you very much,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Ryder, for all that information. Moving
you.
next, we have HR and Administrative Services, and I think Dr. Branch will be joining us for that.
No, she will not. I will be doing that one.
Okay.
Chairman Phillips, I'm here to provide you just information that for first reading. So the next meeting we'll vote on it. VSBA policies from February 2020 update first reading. So you have that. Next, we had to apply for a FCPS. I'm sorry, I'll slow down, Tammy. We had to apply for an FCPS length of school term waiver. We had to submit that to Dr. Lane, and that came back approved. And I submitted the letter for the board's review.
And that was just a formality that we had to go through, correct?
No, it was mandatory that we had to go through it.
Right. It was required that it had to be done, even though school has been closed. We
Right,
still had
all
to
100
apply for the waiver.
Right, all 133 school divisions had to submit it because he had to submit it to the federal government so we can continue with our Title I funding.
Correct.
So yes, we are very pleased that we got that in. We were one of the first couple of divisions to get it in, and he sent it back April 23rd.
Wonderful.
Yeah, so
So
we're
Dr.
okay.
Sterling.
Yes, ma'am.
So there's no recommended action needed then from the board?
No.
Okay,
None
thank
at
you.
all. Yes, ma'am.
All right, that rolls us right into number 7, superintendent's overview. So if you'd like to just continue right along, Dr. Sterling.
Yes, thank you so much. This is a proposal to the school board, even though there is no recommended action. You all gave me that support and autonomy to make the decisions. However, I feel it is always important to bring information back to the board. Dr. Hall Leonard raised a question at the last board meeting, and I wanted to make certain that I followed through on it, because even though we could just move forward with the Dr. Lane's waiver, I'd like to make certain that the school board is able to see it and vote on it if necessary. So as you can see, dated May 7th, academic calendar for the 1920 end of year change. Recommendation, Friday, June 5th, the last day for students and teachers. Monday, June 8th through Friday, June 12th, eliminate teacher work days. I wish they pretty much are anyway. Monday, June 8th through Friday, June 12th, 2020. Division closed for all staff. Rationale due to COVID-19 closures and development implementation of the continuity of learning plan and the elimination of spring break. The 12-month employees have worked straight through, as well as the teachers. Could you scroll up, please? Excellent, thank you, Ms. Moore. So for Friday, June 5th, again, the commencement and last day, but Monday, June 8th. So you have Monday, June 8th through June 12th. This is what's important. Closed for faculty, staff, and all FCPS officers. However, meal service would resume on Monday, June 15, 2020, with all summer feeding. Area organizations will be contacted to ensure that meal services are provided to the families. So we will contact Cover 3, the food bank, to make certain that our kids are covered during that week. And then after that week, we'll pick up and we'll resume food service for the summer.
Does anyone have any questions in regards to Dr. Sterling's recommendation?
Dr. Sterling, this is Andrea Hall in Ward 3. I just wanted to ask a question. So your teachers will prepare like carryover activities for the summer for the students, will the students receive anything towards the end of the year that they can take home for the summer? For example, are they putting things on the website that they could access for summer?
Not at this time. I think everybody needs a break. And
Okay.
what we worked out with the director of instruction, when that summer school schedule is created for students that we know need additional support or voluntarily, we'll reach out to the homes again, have those students sign up for summer school services or be recommended for summer school services. But we will, again, provide the continuity of feeding, but we also want our children to have a summer as well.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions in regards to Dr. Sterling's proposal?
No, but I do see here, it says a recommended action is that we would approve this tonight. Is that correct, Mrs.
Yes,
Phillips?
ma'am. That's what I'm seeking.
That is correct.
Okay, okay. So I move to approve, this is Andrea Holland at Ward 3. I move to approve the 2019-2020 calendar revision proposal as presented.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Going by ward, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Nays have the same opportunity.
Aye, Rebecca Jester, Ward 1.
Aye, this is Andrea Hall Leonard, Ward 3.
Aye, Marshall Williams, Ward 4.
Hi, Andrea Shelton, Ward 5.
I, Carrie Johnson, at large.
And I, Amy Phillips, Ward 2. That motion carries. Thank you very much. And moving next, Dr. Sterling, if you go on to 7.2.
Awesome. Thank you so
Graduation
much.
and transition ceremonies.
All right, excellent. Thank you so much, board members, for everything this evening. We will have presentations from our 3 illustrious principals. We are first going to start with, my goodness, look at this PowerPoint, absolutely beautiful. We're going to start with Mr. Warren, principal of S.P. Morton Elementary School.
All right, good evening, everyone. Ms. Phillips, our chair, Dr. Hall Leonard, vice chair, our wonderful school board, Dr. Sterling, and the Franklin City Public Schools community that's listening live on YouTube right now too as well. Just want to get started with our 5th grade promotion ceremony. After me, we'll have the great principals coming following behind me, Mr. Parker and also Mr. Phelps. So we can go to the next slide. Thank you. All right, so before we get started, I do want to say thank you for everyone that sent a video in. I received a couple of videos already from school board. I know I had one from Ms. Phillips, Dr. Shelton. She emailed me today too as well. So hopefully I can get some more from the school board. And I know Dr. Sterling, she's gonna send me one too. So we just welcome you all for like at least a 1-minute video, because I want to put it inside the presentation if you can. So the day that we want to give the video off, the time we'll try to play it and just communicate with our family. Our SP Morton family is 5:00 p.m. and the presentation will be on YouTube. It'll be pre-recorded. And the steps on the side to the right, what we want to do, we want to recap the pictures of Franklin City Public Schools giving back to the community during COVID-19 in a positive way. You hear a lot of things that's going on with COVID-19 in the city, and it's positive things that's going on in Franklin City Public School. We talk about the food line gift cards, giving those out, giving out the instructional package, giving out meals. The buses are going around to the different communities, doing wellness checks, calling in and checking on our family and our community. So really some great things is going on. Our teachers are teaching on Zoom with the families, with the kids, siblings, and parents. So really some great things is going on that we want to shine the light on. So that's something that we're gonna put in our presentation at the beginning. The next thing is our opening remarks from the principal, which is myself. I want to say something special. We're going with a cap and gown type of thing. So I have on my cap and gown. I received a video from one teacher. I did want to show it, but I'm not going to show it because we got a few minutes to go. So we're going to go with a cap and gown, and everybody's on board. We just want to do something special for our students, especially since they can't have that full experience through a whole school year. the next part, we have a special remarks from SP Morton staff, but also I'm going to add in some special videos from you all, if I receive some from you all, and also again, Dr. Sterling too as well. And anybody else that want to send me a video, a short clip, we would love to put that in a positive way. Then we have presentations. Oh, I'm still working on that slide. All right, we have the presentation of certificates and honors. We're using Life Touch pictures. We're trying to put the names on their pictures. So we have the teachers call out their homeroom, and as they do so, they'll call and just say what honors they have during that time. And it'll be like a special moment for them while they're watching it on YouTube. And we're having a special presentation. We're still trying to work that out. Saying, can we get some younger photos of the students so we can make a comparison of when they came in to SP Morton versus when they leave. So we're still working with Life Touch with that. My team is working with them right now to see, can we get those pictures? If not, we may have to try to contact the family. But it's going to be kind of all or nothing, because we don't want to leave out anybody at all, but we will have a special presentation. We can move on to the next slide. Thank you. Okay, so every year we do a transition. So the kids from SP Morton, they go over to JPK and they get to see the school, and then they get that welcome, that JPK love. But this year we couldn't do it at the end of the school year. So I worked with JPK team, talked to Mr. Parker off and on about, can we get a couple of pictures, seeing the staff, seeing some of the things that they have that's going over there. Since they can't physically go, they can virtually see it. And then Mr. Parker, with his great speeches, he'll come in and have that transition speech with the students. And then I will end with the closing remarks. So these are some of the main points that we want to do. We're still meeting together as a team every week, just trying to come up with some fresh ideas. And if you all have anything at all, we would love to have that, because this is the first time we're doing something like this. And any input is great. So that is it for me. Thank you for everyone that reached out to me so far. Thank you for all that you all do, seen and unseen. And that's it for me. Thank you for the time.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Warren, very much. I'm looking forward to seeing what you do. I think it's going to be really, really interesting.
Mhm.
It's the team, not just me, but we all come together. We're going to do it. We're going to make it happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Warren. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we'll have Mr. Parker representing Joseph P. King Jr. Middle School. Oh, beautiful.
Mhm.
All right,
Mr.
it's
Parker.
all you, Mr. Parker. Have
He's
you put a
probably
time
muted.
limit on him for tonight, Ms. Sterling? Dr. Sterling?
I think he needs to unmute himself.
Yeah, I did. Good evening to everyone. Good evening to everyone. Madam Chair Phillips, Madam Vice Chair Dr. Hall Leonard, the rest of school board members, Dr. Sterling, our fearless leader, to the rest of the team, Ms. Moore, Mr. Warren, Ms. Berhalter, Mr. Rodder, Mr. Phelps, and if I omitted anybody, good evening to everyone. I would like to start off, first of all, by congratulating Mr. Warren on a job well done with his presentation. Great job, Mr. Warren, for your presentation. Also like to start off with, thank you for well-deserved raises for our teachers. Thank you, Dr. Sterling, for leading that charge, Mr. Ryder for working on it, and also to our great school board team for getting it approved. That is one of the biggest celebrations that we have tonight, because our teachers definitely deserve it. And I know they're going to be definitely happy about that. So thank you for the promotion and the raises for our teachers, everybody who worked very hard and energy on that. I heard Ms. Phillips say about a time limit for me. So
Yes.
I'll be as short as possible. 2020 virtual promotion. We're all in uncharted waters. You can go to the next screen, Ms. Tammy Moore. We're going to obviously have our ceremony virtually. The next screen, we're going to have everything uploaded. Our date is June the 4th. June the 4th. We are checking into some production companies. I know, since we presented this slide, we have done some more talking, dealing with the camp, the young lady who presented the camp graduation. So we're waiting on information from that as well, as far as putting the whole thing together. Everything obviously pre-recorded. We will use the Life Touch pictures for our students. The program is on the next page. We kind of went down our usual program that we use every year. Even though this is a different year, but we're doing it a little bit different. I will do the welcome to our students. School board greetings from Ms. Phillips. Thank you for sending your video. Then we will have greetings from our superintendent, Dr. Sterling. We will have remarks from our grade level chair in 8th grade, Ms. Lauren Lee. We will have a slideshow. On our slideshow, we will have the pictures, the Life Touch pictures of our students. Ms. Wilson has been doing a great job with that. We had maybe about 8 or 9 students that did not get the opportunity to take their Life Touch pictures this year. So she's already reached out through Ms. Carr, our secretary, reached out, and we've received pictures on those students. So as of right now, I think we're almost 99% as far as having our pictures for our students. And what we're planning on doing is doing a slideshow. We're going to have the student's picture on one side of the screen, and then their accomplishments on the other side of the screen. And with accomplishments we're talking about is Accelerated Reader, Achieve 3000, Health and PE, Fitness Gram Awards, our +1 awards, and our Math Awards. And then after that, we're going to have Mr. Phelps, our Franklin High School principal. He's going to welcome them to Franklin High School through virtually. So thank you to Mr. Phelps for that as well. And then we're going to have closing remarks by Ms. Lawrence, our assistant principal and instructional specialist in our building. So we are very excited. At the same time, we're venturing in uncharted waters, but we're not worried because we know our God is so truly awesome. That has been definitely proven tonight. So we're looking forward to a great ceremony. We're looking forward to seeing the high school's graduation, also the elementary school's promotion ceremony for their 5th graders. But it's a great job. I mean, we're enjoying working as a team. It's a lot of work being done, and we all know that. But it's all for our babies. It's all about our babies to make sure our babies continue. So. That's right. When you take the me and surrender the me for the we, that's a great thing. So
thank you, Mr. Parker.
Yes.
I have to take that. I really like that. Surrender the me for the we.
Thank you very much, Mr. Parker. And I will tell you, I am very thankful for the raises for your teachers as well, because I need your teachers to come back next year and teach my kids.
Yes.
I need you not to homeschool with my kids.
All right. Next, we'll have Mr. Travis Phelps, who will do the presentation for the high school graduation 2020.
Good evening, everyone. I won't call everybody's name out, but good evening out there. Great job, Mr. Warren. Great job, Mr. Parker. I'm going to try to live up to your presentation, but do it as expeditiously as possible. Our first slide, the best thing that I could think of for a little theme is a virtual experience like no other. Franklin High School is also an uncharted territory as far as how we're doing graduation. Our students are a little disappointed it won't be at the Workforce Center in front of 800 to 1,000 people. However, they're going to have a unique experience like no other graduating class from Franklin High School has ever had. So if you go to the next slide, I'll kind of break it down for you. Our presentation or our production will be aired on June 5th at 6 p.m. on YouTube. So I'm kind of beginning with the end in mind here. It's all going to be aired on June 5th at 6 p.m., which is when we would have had our traditional graduation anyway. Graduation 2020 is going to be a virtual experience. It's going to be the first time we've done anything like this in school history. We are excited about it as things start to come together. We're going to follow our traditional program. However, it's going to take us a week to pre-record and then another week to, well, not a week, but about a half of a week to produce it, and then for it to be ready to be aired. Pre-recording at Franklin High School will be on May 26th through the 29th. All speeches will be pre-recorded. And by the way, this is going to take place in the Franklin High School auditorium. All speeches will be pre-recorded on May the 26th. I have a schedule that I'm going to send out to everyone who does a speech. I'm hoping that time works for you. If it doesn't, of course, we can adjust. But once I send that schedule out to everyone who does a speech, and those people, I'm going to just talk off the top of my head here without looking at the program, but it's our valedictorian, our salutatorian. We have a senior speech. We have the welcome. I should have started with the welcome. We have the superintendent. We have the principal. We have the school board chair, Dr. Atkins Brady from Paul D. Camp, because she's going to present one of our one-year certificates. All those people will be pre-recorded on Tuesday, May 26th. Then on May 28th and 29th, this is the exciting part for our students and for me and for everyone. Our students in Franklin City Public Schools will actually get to march across the Franklin High School auditorium stage. I know it's not the Workforce Center stage, but it's a stage, and we're going to have it looking awesome. They're going to march across in 10-minute intervals by alphabetical order, last name, starting on May 28th at 9 a.m. We'll go all the way till 5 p.m. on the 28th, and we'll cut off with, we'll get all the way to the letter M. And then the next morning, starting at 9 a.m. again, we'll, in 10-minute intervals, we will do the rest of the graduating class, which right now is 65 students. I know I said 66 one time, but we have one that still needs to get some work done. So 65, possibly 66 students. And everything will be following social distancing guidelines. I'm on my last slide. Ms. Moore, or whoever's controlling this, I think Ms. Moore. Thank you, Ms. Moore, behind the scenes. You're doing awesome. Everything will be following social distancing guidelines. And this is a very fluid plan, because like I said, I can't go by my usual blueprint that I kind of know every nuance possible with doing it at Paul D. Camp. Instead of it saying more than 10 people in the auditorium at a time, we actually have a plan where we're not going to exceed 10 people in the building at a time. And I won't break down all the little details of it, but we have a great graduation team that is meets weekly, sometimes bi-weekly. We're going to meet again on Tuesday. And we've got everything broken down and who's at what station, but we're not going to exceed 10 people in the building at a time. Caps and gowns are actually being delivered on Thursday, May 21st. At one time, we were going to mail them to the students' houses or residents, but now we're going to actually, the Herff Jones representative is going to set up a tent in front of Franklin High School, and it's going to be a drive-through service. They've already ordered their caps and gowns. All they have to do is drive through, pick it up. We don't have to worry about it going to the wrong residence. Maybe somebody moved, then somebody doesn't have a cap and gown, and we're panicking because it's time to do the graduation. So everything's going to happen at Franklin High School on Thursday, May 21st. And if you haven't bought your cap and gown yet, you can also purchase it right there in the bus loop in your car, and not even have to get out the car, as long as we know what size to give you. We want to thank our school board and our superintendent for the yard signs. They have been a big hit. We displayed them on Sunday. During Sunday morning, we put them out, and then we allowed our students to come pick them up on Wednesday. And looking out the window right now, we have lots of gaps out there. So I know a lot of them have been picked up, and our students and parents have been very appreciative of that. And I also want to thank Dr. Sterling for her vision for our students walking across the stage, because we knew we were going to have to do this virtually, and we had a plan for that. We were going to use pictures, and I kind of had been talking to some principals in our area and our region. So I had a good game plan for it, but that game plan got changed. I'll go back to my coaching days. We had to make an adjustment during the third quarter so we can win. Anyway, now that I have absorbed what we're going to do, we're excited about it, and we have a plan for it. I'm sure we'll look back on it and think of some things we could have done differently, but hopefully we won't ever have to do graduation like this again. But if we do, we can have this as a template to use going forward. We are excited. Thank you for the opportunity to present this. I will say I've been getting lots of suggestions on how to do graduation from different people, from seniors, from parents. At this point, I'm glad we have a plan and we can just move forward with it so that we can have a real graduation. When I say a real graduation, I mean students are going to be able to walk across that stage and receive their diplomas. And then we'll put it all together and make a big TV show out of it. So thank you for your time and thank you for your support.
Thank you very much, Mr. Phelps.
Excellent presentation by all three principals. I'm just excited. We're ready for our new beginnings, but we want to make certain that the transition and our students moving on to college, 8th grade and 6th grade, had the opportunity to experience what their peers did before them. And as you can see, our principals have always risen to the challenge, and they are doing an exceptional job with their teams. And I'm just so fortunate that they have embraced this and they have done an exceptional job with closing out the school year with those ceremonies. At this time, Madam Chair, school board members, that concludes my presentation. And thank you again also before I leave for approving everything that we put on the table for the betterment of our division. I really, really, really appreciate it because we are moving in the right direction. Our team is solid, and I cannot wait to send this Happy Teacher Appreciation email out tomorrow, indicating that new beginnings have happened with our school board, believing in us and getting those raises. I cannot thank you enough. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I need to say thank you 7 times. Thank you.
Yeah, how wonderful that it happened during Teacher Appreciation Week.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sterling.
Absolutely.
All right, moving on to item 8, business by school board members. First up, we have a special recognition. And joining us tonight, we have Coach Mona Sumlin, as well as I think her husband's with her. Yes.
Beautiful.
And this makes me feel, first of all, let me just say, Ms. Sumlin, thank you for your years of dedication to Franklin City Public Schools, because I was fortunate enough, I never got to have you in school, but you were still there when I was there. So wow. I know I'm telling my age now, but you've been a teacher within the division. Did you have her, Ms. Johnson?
I did.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
You've been a fixture in the division.
Madam I did as well. This is Vice Chairman Holland.
Vice Chair Hollander, yes.
Yes, I had her as well.
Yeah. So you've been a part of all of our lives. So thank you for your years of dedication to Franklin City Public Schools.
Thank you.
So now that being said, the reason, of course, we have you here tonight is we wanted to publicly acknowledge that, for those that were not aware, that Coach Mona Sumlin has been awarded the Virginia High School League 2019-2020 Regional Award of Merit for Region 1B, which is wonderful. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Just to give the public some background, and see, now I'm going to tell your age.
Hey, glad to be here.
Ms. Sumlin began her teaching career with Franklin High School in 1981. That we have been her school and where she has been for her entire teaching career.
That's correct.
Wow.
She is retiring, of course, at the end of the school year after 39 years of dedication. She took over as head coach after the one and only Coach Peggy Wilkins when she retired in 1982. She followed, of course, a legend, but she has done her own just as well with this school division. She won 2 state championships in girls basketball. One as an assistant coach in 81 and one as head coach in 86. Wow. She coached the state runner-up team in 2006 as well. She's won 12 district championships and 8 regional championships. I'm not too sure about her win-loss record, but she has won many, many more than she has lost as a head coach. And most importantly, she has been a positive influence on countless young ladies and young men as well. Franklin High School has had only 2 head girls basketball coaches in the last 54 years, which is since 1960.
Wow.
Coach Peggy Wilkins, who the gym is dedicated to, and Coach Mona Sumlin. That speaks volumes. Two outstanding
Yes.
legends within our division.
Yes.
She also has coached boys and girls track for the last 14 years. Even though she is retiring from teaching, Ms. Sumlin will continue to lead Franklin High School's girls basketball program. And this is such wonderful news for the division. So Ms. Sumlin, on behalf of the school board, on behalf of the school division, I want to say thank you for your years of dedication to Franklin City Public Schools. And I want to congratulate you on receiving this honor.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Well deserved. Can we give our hand again?
Yes.
And Coach Sumlin.
Yes.
This is Andrea Hall Leonard.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Now I can, yes.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to say that 1986 was a sweet year.
Oh, yes.
You see that? Congratulations. We wish you the best on your retirement.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Part-time retirement. She's coming back for another third championship. Is that right? Third, no, three.
As a volunteer in the office and in the halls. So may I say, I want to thank again, Coach Felt, I call him Coach, and Mr. Gambles for nominating me for that award. It's a great, great honor. I appreciate it so much. And I also want to thank the school board for allowing us to have, and I say us, because you never do anything alone. And I got my boo over here. But you never do anything alone and you have support. So I really appreciate that. Again, thank you to the school board for allowing us to have done this all these years. And thank you for allowing us to continue. Don't want to just leave cold turkey. Got to gradually ride off into the sunset.
Well, we will keep you around as long as you want to be around.
Well, thank you so
and
much.
probably even when you don't want to be around.
Like I said, I'm willing to volunteer in the halls and in the office.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
Yes.
So
Sumlin, Mr. Sumlin, you willing to do the same?
Yes.
You are fishing. I'm putting you on the spot too. Well, we are excited for your retirement, but we already know our doors are always open to you to whatever you want to do. Both of you. Both of you
so much. We
have
appreciate
the gold card to come in and out whenever you please. And again, I'm always learning, and I appreciate the service that both of you have provided to Franklin City Public School. There are a few people that I just step to the side and say,
thank you.
Whatever you like. And the Sumlins are whatever you like.
Bless you. Thank you.
Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you both and enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Okay.
All right. Moving next to 8.2, which is business by school board members. Does anyone have anything to share with the board?
I see here that I believe Mrs. Moore listed a couple of things under my name.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and I thought this was from a previous meeting, but I did have just a couple of things. I tried to send it by email for the sake of time. So as far as gifted advisory, Ms. Ricks has already forwarded information to parents, and there will be a gifted advisory meeting on May the 13th at 3:00 p.m. That information did go out to all of the gifted advisory team members. So that's at 3 p.m. Also, Dr. Sterling included some information in her board communication in reference to a gifted parent and a student. So you can refer to the board communication for that under gifted education. In reference to the Governor's School of the Arts, I did forward information to board members in reference to the spring art show, and all public events are canceled through the remainder of the academic year due to COVID-19, due to the COVID-19 pandemic. In reference to the CSEP board, and for those who are not sure what CSEP stands for, that is the Southeastern Cooperative Educational Programs. I did forward to board members, the superintendent and board clerk, the most recent CSEP newsletter for your convenience. Also, there was an announcement from the Gifted Advisory Coordinator for the district, Ms. Tanika Ricks, has informed us that the Tidewater Regional Governor School Summer Enrichment Program has been postponed until next year due to COVID-19 pandemic. And I do not have information to share. I've shared previously the information that I had in reference to the human trafficking. And so that's all I have to see. Oh, wait, there is one other thing. Today I did attend the VSBA budget training workshop webinar, which was an excellent webinar. It was facilitated by recently retired superintendent of Surrey County Schools, Dr. Thornton. It was provided to board members to help board members understand the basic concepts of school finance, and to also help board members understand our role and responsibilities in reference to budget development and for oversight of the budget process. And that's all I have.
Thank you very much, Dr. Hollander. Does anyone else have anything to share with the board? I just had a couple things that I wanted to update the board on in regards to Appomattox Regional Governor's School. We did have a meeting last month, of course, electronically, and they have not reached a decision yet on what they're doing for graduation. The thought is possibly postponing to a later date, which of course could be difficult depending on what seniors have going on after graduation. They did adopt their calendar for the upcoming school year, and they opted for a traditional after Labor Day start. But they are staggering it. The first day back will be for freshmen only, and then all other students will return on the Wednesday after Labor Day. And their final day of school would be on June the 17th. So I just wanted to share that as well. And Dr. Sterling, because I know that has some logistical impacts, I have a copy of that, and I will make sure you get a copy of that as well. Couple of other things, just if you saw my email that went out a few days ago, the VSBA training, of course, we discussed at our last meeting, we had to come back to the board and look at determining a date by eliminating days that we had conflicts on. And it turned out that the only day that no one had a conflict on was Friday, August the 7th. So that is the date that we will go with for our next board development with VSBA, which will be our annual self-evaluation. And the only other item that I had was just a discussion on the budget. Of course, we have approved our budget, but we still have to adopt our budget. That does require that our budget be approved by the city, because of course our adoption of our budget depends on what the city funds us with. And so we are still waiting on the city. We are supposed to adopt our budget by May 15th, but the city is not meeting until Monday the 11th. So there's no way that until we know our final numbers with them and what they approve, there's no way we can adopt a budget. So we are sitting right now at the cities, waiting on the city for them to get back with us with the final approval on the budget. Any questions on that? Well, that is all that I have. So is there anything else anyone has to share or would like to share?
No, well, I would say lastly to the principals, and I believe they are still with us in this meeting, you all have done a wonderful job under Dr. Sterling's leadership in preparing for your graduations and also for the continuity of learning. And so that includes Mrs. Burkhalter and all of the specialists. We are very proud of the team that we have. None of us could have predicted this. And for me, being a school board member since 2014, I can look at this and say, I am most proud to have approved a one-to-one initiative, because had we not done that, we can't speak of that enough. To me, it speaks volumes that we already had devices in all of our students' hands. So when this happened, we could readily continue to provide instruction. And also for me, I could say, being on the school board for this length of time, I am most proud of our teaching staff. That has been very important to me, that the teaching staff actually receive increase. And I believe that has really encouraged our staff. And we do, like Chairman Phillips said, we do want them to return. We do want you to return this upcoming school year. So thank you, Dr. Sterling, for your leadership and for your staff.
Absolutely, thank you.
All right, if there is nothing else that is business by school board members, we will move to 8.3, which is just for review. We have minutes from our March work session and meeting, as well as our April 23rd meeting. They are just for review, so they'll be back before us at our next meeting for approval. So that brings us to everyone's favorite item of the meeting. We are down to 9.1, which is adjourning the meeting. Does anybody want to stay?
I'm Marshall Williams, Ward 4, move to adjourn.
Shelton, Ward 5, second.
Let's see, can we have a discussion on that?
No.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Rebecca Jester, Ward 1.
Andrea Hall Leonard, Ward 3, aye.
Marshall Williams, Ward 4, aye.
Andrea Shelton, Ward 5, aye.
Carrie Johnson at large, aye.
Amy Phillips, Ward 2, and that would be an aye. And we are officially adjourned. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in tonight. Thank you, all of you board members, for joining it. And again, thank you to our teachers, and have a happy teacher.
Yes.
All right.
Happy Mother's Day, ladies.
Thank
Thank
all of
you.
you as well.
Bye. Happy
Bye.
Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day. Happy Teacher Appreciation.
And
Thank you. Same to you.
Shout out to the nurses.
Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers. Happy Mother's Day.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Parker.
Mhm.